right, everybody. You know what that jingle means. It is time for On the Perf podcast. We are back once again, Adam and Adam, and we've been talking shooting matches the last few weeks, so that's been a little bit of time to accrue some LQs. Riser, you got some LQs in your inbox?
I have one grip of LQs, so lots and lots.
Y'all have been sliding into both of our DMs with the LQs lately. So this week we got a round of LQs. Go ahead, buckle up. Here we go. But as always, brought to you by Atlas Gunworks. DJ, we're giving you another week off on Atlas Gunworks reads. Just relax, because we're about to shove so much Atlas down your throat that we might suffocate you. You might actually die before you can buy them. So we're still waiting for permission to scoop what we have been given permission to scoop, but just know that it's out there. It's like the Jaws fin. It just kind of popped out of the water. It's coming for you. Yep, we're 2 donuts into this Atlas Jaws eating your face off. So
we're definitely going to need a bigger boat.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, On the Perf podcast is also brought to you by Briley Manufacturing. If you guys noticed the absolutely terrible audio quality from our last episode, Briley is doing something about that. They are buying us mics, you guys. So
shotgun mics, if you will.
Yeah. Well played, sir. Well played. So yeah. So they're going to be on order here in a minute. Maxwell's going to deliver them in St. George. We'll record our first podcast of December, which will be PCSL Nationals, with the new mics, and I'm anticipating less terrible audio quality. And we also have an LQ coming up about some Briley stuff, but we're going to keep things in order because, the show has some order to it. It's not all chaos.
First things first, though, we need a Gary of the day, and I hear we have some Gary on Gary violence.
Yes, there has been some Gary on Gary violence.
Jerry might do some Gary shit, but Jerry ain't no Gary.
No, he is not.
But Riser did some Gary shit this week. So
I did some super Gary shit. So, all right. So here's the deal, folks. I would say that anytime you get DQ'd from a match, it is pretty Gary. I have been DQ'd as of this recording 3 times. I have been undQ'd one of those times. Technically today I got DQ'd like 4 times. So I'll get into that in just a minute.
What?
Well, I'll explain.
Okay.
So, I have only actually been DQ'd like that stuck once ever after, I think I'm coming up on like 15 years of shooting. So I feel pretty good about that. I didn't feel very good that I got DQ'd at all. I was really hoping I was going to make it to the finish line, but I did not. And then I had the Texas thing. That was a DQ and then an undQ. Maxwell's counting with his fingers right now. And then I had today. So we had ourselves a nice little club match. 8-stage club match, because that's how they roll around here. They do not mess around. And I was shooting all right, kind of having some fun with my friends. And there was a stage where you kind of like shot your way into a pretty tight corner, and then you had to do a reload on the way out of this corner. And I shot into the corner, pop, 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 on the last target, and just zipped up it. I fired one, and then on the second shot, my gun doubled. And I had, let's say I had initiated the first 0.5% of my reload in that I had slightly started to loosen my grip, but both hands were still attached to the gun. So when the gun doubled, it basically recoiled as if I wasn't hanging on to it at all. Like it went completely up at like a 45-degree angle as the gun recoiled. And so there was a round that happened at like a 10 split that I could not account for. I was like, that gun went off and I don't know where it went. And so I just stopped. I was like, everybody saw that. That was definitely DQ. I just stopped myself.
Rule number 1, never stop yourself.
Yes. So if anything, this is the Gary thing, because if I just wouldn't have done that, we might not even be having this conversation. So
yeah, bro. That's why I can't count how many times I've been DQ'd, because I just own that shit and keep rolling.
yeah. So I just stopped, and then the RO kind of looked at me confused, and he goes, "Stop." And it was like, I wasn't really sure, and I talked to him later, and he was like, everything happened super fast, and then you stopped, and I was like, that must have gone wrong, but I'm not even entirely sure that he saw what happened. So...
Which is bullshit.
So I'm like, yep, definitely DQ'd. Match director comes over, and he's like, hey, did it go over the berm? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to have to call the city. Like, I had a hat cam on, and he's like, okay, well, like, yeah, you're done. And I'm like, yep, for sure. Like, I know. And he's like, but we need to find out if it went over the berm or not, because the arrangement we have with this range is basically if a round leaves the range, we need to notify the city, and it's just part of the deal. Because it's like leased from the city or the state or something like that.
Zero good things can come from that.
Zero good things. Yes, exactly. So not a good thing when rounds leave the range. So I pull up the hat cam.
Zero good things can come from you notifying the city every time something potentially happens like that. So
also that. So, but I'm trying to play by the rules that are put in front of me here. So he's like, hey, bring up your hat cam. Let's see what happened. I'm like, cool. So I bring it up, and we're watching the video, and we're just going frame by frame, counting brass. And I'm like, yep, there's my shot. There's the double, and I'm like, the angle on that gun wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was when it went off. Like it felt like it was up when it went off because it moved up so far, because I wasn't like hanging onto the gun.
This is why we don't stop ourselves.
But we're counting brass. And I didn't know how many rounds came out of the gun. I just know that I fired one, and on the second one, it just zippered because I, started loosening up my grip too early and accidentally doubled or tripled or something the thing. And I was like, I don't know how many rounds came out of this gun, but it felt really bad. And sure enough, we watched the video frame by frame by frame, and we count 3 pieces of brass. And I'm like, okay. So there was only 3. And we're looking at the video, and you can see it splash on the berm, not like the big back berm, but actually the berm in the bay. And I'm like, okay, cool. It didn't leave the range. And then the RO's like, dude, there were 3 holes in the target. I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, there were 2 alphas and like a high delta on the shoulder. And I'm like, oh god. So then the match director, range master, I don't know who was playing what role there today, is like, all right, cool. Like, you're not DQ'd. RO, did you stop him? And he's like, I mean, he kind of stopped himself, but then I said stop, and he wasn't unloading the gun yet, so yes, I stopped him. And he's like, all right, go get your reshoot. I'm like,
hell yeah.
Okay. And then so I'm like, they're like, what do you say? It's like, apparently I'm still in the match. Like I went from like definitely going home to, yep, we're back in the match. And then so he drives off. I'm getting all geared up. The last shooter's up, so I just have to like stuff a mag and go do it. That dude comes back with the other RM or match director, I'm not sure who was doing what, on the side by side, and he goes, hey, turns out you are DQ'd because you were initiating a reload, so therefore it is a accidental discharge, or it is a shot fired during a reload. And I'm like, okay, I mean, whatever. Like at this point, I'm like, the whole squad is about ready to move on from the stage. I thought I wasn't in the match, and now I'm back in the match. And honestly, this isn't a match that I was even planning on go to, because I have like a bunch of stuff that I have to do around the house. And so I'm like, I mean, all right, I'll go home. That's fine. And he's like, yep, sorry, it was during a reload. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then so he drips off, and then my buddy Robert and a couple other people come up on the next squad. And he's like, what happened? I'm like, I got DQ'd. And he's like, what'd they, call you on? And I explained this whole thing. And he goes, wait, but were you putting a mag in the gun? It's like, no. It's like, but it doubled, so a mag hadn't left the gun. I'm like, nope. He goes, let me see the footage. So I like scroll through it like frame at a time. I was like, there's where my last shot went off. He's like, dude, both hands are still on the gun. Show me in that video where there's a reload. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He goes, dude, go arb this and get back in the match. And like at this point, I'm like, you know what? It's been too much. I'm just gonna call it a day. Like I don't like this is a club match. I don't care enough to to go get in an argument about this. I'm just gonna go home and rake some leaves because I really need to clean up my yard. So that was my morning.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I know. You would have fought it. Like if I had flown to North Carolina and this happened, you better believe I would have been there with the video. Be like, show me my reload in this video where the gun is going off. But
well, that's one thing. But and this is for another pod some other day. But one of my biggest pet peeves, like the shortest route to Adam Angry Town, is people not knowing the R rules or not knowing the rules, trying to enforce the rules. Like, well, I guess you're DQ. Sorry. Well, are you sorry? Are you? But like,
so
the goal is correct. The goal. I had to explain. Actually, my parents know nothing about shooting, so sometimes I send them our show so they can have a window into what I'm doing. And they listened to the guy. They listened to the whole front butt episode.
Yes.
And so my dad was like,
"Start on."
I don't really understand why was the guy potentially going to shoot the match again, and so the point
wasn't
the point of DQs. There has to be a black and white line in the sand of these things are dangerous and we cannot allow them. But the goal is so that those things don't happen. The goal is not to DQ at every chance where DQs could be applied. Like there was an era of the sport where it was kind of ROs would put notches on their belts for how many people they DQ'd, and some of those people are still around. Stage 5, Factory Gun Nationals. Choke yourself. But I lost my train of thought. But like there are reasons to get DQ'd, and when you cross those lines, when you shoot yourself in the leg, okay, there's no coming back. And part of the reason is because if you had, in Reiser's case, he had this thing, it kind of freaked him out. If he goes into the next stage and he's worried about it happening again, even though the bullet didn't leave the range, like if he goes into the next stage and he's still frazzled and he's thinking more about trying not to do whatever just happened or redemption for whatever just happened, that's a recipe for disaster as well. So that's why the DQs are there, and you can come back tomorrow, but you're done today because you have to square yourself. But if it's like, oh, well, I guess, technically you're DQ'd. Well, you're not DQ'd, but you are DQ'd. Like, was it dangerous or not? And where I would say it's not dangerous is you hit the target. If there's 3 shots and they're on the target, that's how I got out of a DQ at the Heartland shotgun match. All right, a shot happened while the stock wasn't in my shoulder. Nowhere in the rule book does it say a stock needs to be in my shoulder, and I hit the target. So, like, if you hit the target, the match is freestyle. So, yeah, but the big thing there is, like, a lot of times what I hear from Reiser's story is the adrenalized brain is not a good judge of time or magnitude, right? So, I mean, how many times have you had a smoking run and then you've gone and watched the video and like, oh, that looked kind of lame, actually. Like, it did not look as cool as I thought it was.
Well, in the inverse for sure, too.
Right.
Well, so
yeah.
Here's the thing. So in defense of these two people, I'm not going to drop names, but
no.
Everybody knows
this is universal. This is universal.
And they're both friends. So in defense of these two people, so the first guy came rolling up, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I got a call. What am I here for?" And I responded, "You're here to DQ me." Like, I was like, I am for sure DQ'd. I'm definitely
That's some
out of this
Gary
match
shit right there too.
Until I saw the video, 'cause I was just super worried that a round had left the range. I'm
right?
Like,
yeah.
So I was in a different mindset. I wasn't in like a save my match mindset. I was in like, I hope that didn't go somewhere bad. And actually, since getting home, I've looked at the range on Google Earth, and I'm like, it would have to travel a very long ways, or somebody would have to just be at the really wrong place at the wrong time for that to even matter out there. But so he came in with like, Adam thinks he's DQ'd, and he actually saw the video, and he's like, dude, you're still in the match.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, okay. And then the second guy who came in who re-DQ'd me, he didn't see the video at all. He heard Adam AD'd, it went into the target, but it was during a reload. So he came in with like incomplete information. So if I would have been like, hey man, here's the video, both my hands are still on it, I think he would have overturned it and I'd still be in the match. But at that point I was like, you know what, enough things have happened. The squad's already on the next stage. I got stuff to do. I'm just going to call it a day and take my licks.
Right. So if we were to,
nobody was really wrong, but it was a weird thing.
So if we're to square the story back to the Gary of the day, the reason for Gary's of the day is to keep you from doing stuff, for you to act in your best interest. For you to act in your best interest. Two things out of this story: for you to act in your best interest of doing well in the sport and at a match. Never stop yourself. All right?
Word.
Just keep going. If you did something, they'll stop you. Believe me, they'll stop you. Okay? It'll be stop. Like, you know, they'll say it loud enough that you can hear it. You can hear an S. You'd be surprised how quiet they could say an S-bomb and you pick that up through your hearing protection.
People have yelled top back in the coaching days when spinners were in matches where they yell bottom top. People have yelled top, and I've stopped shooting. And they're like, no, top, not stop, go.
Yeah. Well, here we go. You know, drink. Hard as hell back in the Diz A.
It was at a hard as hell.
There's no Mavericks where I'm from. And I think Maverick might have even been running the new ad campaign where they started using the slogan "Adventures First Stop."
Oh, I know the story already. Yep.
And so that was the phrase
Adventures
of the weekend.
First stop.
That was the phrase of the weekend. Everything was Adventures First Stop. And so somebody was videoing me, and he said Adventures First Stop as he was narrating the video. I got to the top of the platform. I turned around and looked at the ROs, and he's got the timer. He's looking me right in the eyes like, what are you doing? And I'm like, someone said stop. He's like, I didn't say stop. I was like, I don't care. Somebody did.
Yep.
You know, so never stop yourself. Never stop yourself. All right. Let it roll. This is like an MMA fight. Okay. Like, you stay on the guy until the ref pulls you off.
Ground and pound. Yeah.
Ground and pound until they stop you. All right. Unless like you shot your hand or something like that. God forbid. So never stop yourself. That's a Gary. The other Gary thing too, if this is happening, this is very hard to do. All right. This is very hard to do, but you got to keep your cool. All right. Because people who don't know will innocently kind of screw you if you play your cards wrong in this situation. So if you are the subject of a call like this and the range master is summoned, go and hide in the flock of ducks. All right. Just go. Do not be the first person to go up and talk to them. Let them talk. The range master should go and talk to the ROs. And then when those two talk, then they should come and talk to you. All right. And then, so your whole goal there is to, it's like defensive shooting, or if you get pulled over in a car, if you get pulled over in the car on the highway, do you know why I pulled you over? Never answer that question. Never answer that question.
Nope.
Right? That's bad police work. Okay. So same thing. Like, don't go up. Yeah, man, I fucked up. Oh, okay. Well, you kind of manipulated this. That's the lens he's looking at it through now. So don't lie. Don't be deceitful. Don't obstruct.
Don't give them evidence against you.
Right. Don't testify against yourself before they've had a chance to, because that guy rolling up there, he has no idea what happened. You only get one chance at a first impression. So if his first impression is Adam thinks he's DQ'd, that's the position he's going to start from, you know?
Well, and like, to his credit, that is the man who overturned it the first time.
Right.
Like he
right.
rolled up and I said, I'm DQ'd. He looked at the video. He's like, dude, you're still in the match.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
So Gary of the day is stopping yourself
Yep.
and do not incriminate yourself when the range master comes around.
Testifying against yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. You just hang out in the crowd there. Try be as vanilla as possible. Wait for, use that time to breathe and count to 10. And then talk through this rationally with the range master. But that's quite a story.
Before anybody asks, no, the footage will not be on the internet for the same reason that I stated for the incident in Texas. I would love to put stuff like this up as educational content, but it'll end up in some look how dangerous gun people are compilation. And so I'm not going to feed into that. So
Tex Grebner thought he was doing that 20 years ago. Look what happened to him.
Exactly.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just go ahead, head over to the tube and check it out.
Just Google that. Yep. You're welcome. You're welcome.
But yeah. Wow. Okay. So that is the Gary of the day. So we're getting into LQs now, I think.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we are.
I had a thought and it was gone. So we're to LQs now.
That's cool because I feel like we're about to spool real badly on Tex Grebner.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's leave Tex alone. He had a rough go.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Just let that dog lie.
Yep, for sure.
I shot myself. Okay.
Poor bastard.
All right, you want to lead off or should I lead off here?
Yeah, I'll kick it off because
okay.
I'll kick it off with the Briley. So,
yeah.
So LQ
brought to you by Briley.
Brought to you by Briley Manufacturing.
OTP 10.
There you go. Go get yourself 10% off, maybe on this pistol, which will save you about $310. So, the LQ. I see Briley sells a customized Springfield Armory Prodigy pistol about half the price of an Atlas. Have you or anybody else you know had a chance to check it out? Thanks. So here's the deal. I did check out a couple versions of these because like all Briley things, you can kind of pull from the drop down and they will do as much or as little as you like to a certain extent. I checked out a full send version and a nearly full send version. Essentially what it is, they take a Springfield Prodigy. They put in a Briley barrel. It's not a KKM barrel or something else that's stamped Briley, although KKM does make nice barrels. It is a Briley manufactured barrel with a spherical bushing up front. They do a trigger kit and ejector from EGW, and they tune a bit of it. And they can leave a functional grip safety, but most people will pin the grip safety. Which I am a fan of, and you can also add an aluminum grip and magwell. The full send version, including the gun with the factory grip, so not quite the full send version, but basically a Springfield Prodigy completely worked over by Briley, including a new barrel, is $3,100. So it is not in Atlas price range, not even close. It is somewhere in the not quite staccato price range and more expensive than some other options that are out there. I handled both of them. I did not shoot either of them. This is what I'll say. The important things on guns, when we talked about all the pistol stuff before, and we talked about barrel lockup and accuracy and things along those lines, putting a Briley barrel in there and then fitting it with a Briley bushing, the barrel lockup is going to be very nice. It will lead to a very accurate gun. The fit between the lower and the upper, it is still a Springfield Prodigy. You cannot take a loose gun and make it tighter. You can only make a tight gun from scratch. So it is not by any stretch of the imagination going to have that Atlas one piece. Like on my Apollo, I can lock the slide open and try to wiggle the upper and the lower, and I can feel zero play between the two. If you don't believe me, grab me the next time you see me at a match and come do that, because it feels like one solid piece and I have no idea how they're separate pieces. It's amazing. The Springfield feels like
it's a mass-produced gun.
It's a mass-produced gun. It feels like my STI that has like 100,000 rounds through it. It's about the same amount of movement. So I would say in that price range, I would really consider it. The reason being that it is a mass-produced gun that has then been touched by gunsmiths who really know what they're doing. So the thing that you get in your hands is very likely going to be more accurate and more reliable than a similar off the production line version of a double stack 1911. Is it an Atlas? No, it is not. It costs half as much as an Atlas. And I would say the value relative to that is more than half as much. Like if you're shopping in that $3,000 price range, I would definitely put this on the list. If you're considering Atlas price range, probably not. That's where I'd go with it.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I've handled several. I don't know that I've actually shot one, but I know what it would feel like. I've shot enough 1911 style pistols. I know what it would be like. I have several friends whose opinion I would respect. Get them. Some of them sponsored, some of them not. And more or less they echo the same thing. If we were going to tease just a little bit more of the Atlas drop, Atlas also believes this is a platform that could be enhanced. We'll just leave that right there. So out of the box, kind of like, this is kind of maybe a little bit always an exception to a rule, right? So like when we were talking Atlas several episodes ago, we don't and we still don't recommend building up a pistol. Like the whole, like, I'm starting with this one and I'm going to breathe life into it. Still, ultimately, probably not. I would say I don't think many people who enhance prodigies have reached the end of their 1911 road.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely not.
Right? They're not going to starve today, but they'll be hungry tomorrow. To me, the Springfield Prodigy, I would equate it to a Smith & Wesson M&P stock out of the box. It's a mass-produced production pistol targeted at people who shop in that price range. And those people tend to have low expectations. Remember, I should probably get an updated stat on this, but I think the average American firearm is fired 3 rounds in its entire life. Right? So,
guys, those are rookie numbers, man. We need to bring those numbers up. Like,
right. Most of the people in our audience are not those people, but those people are who prodigies are marketed towards. Is my point. And of course, I can also hear M&P gang out there like, rah, rah, rah. Shut up, guys! You swap the barrel and the trigger almost immediately. Like, calm down. You're doing the same thing.
What's Hunter doing? Is he leaving it stock?
No. Absolutely not. So out of the box, a Prodigy, I would equate, just for analogy's sake, I would equate it to a Smith & Wesson M&P. Enhanced M&P or enhanced Prodigy, like we're talking about with the Briley stuff, I would say meets or exceeds a CZ Custom Shadow. Right? So refinement on that level, expectations on that level. Like trigger, very cleaned up. Accuracy, very good. But still a mass-produced pistol. It's a mass-produced pistol that's had some attention to it. But like Reiser said, really the only way to get the premium stuff is to build it that way from the start. Or like in the olden timey times when guys would send Series 70 Colts to, the artisan gunsmiths, those guys were essentially remanufacturing the pistol on a bait. They would weld up the rails and remill them.
Yeah.
And that's why those pistols were so expensive, because essentially they were fixing crooked guns.
Yeah.
You know? So
kind of in the same way that like gunsmiths will blueprint a Remington 700 action.
yes, thank you.
Like
Also a great example.
Instead of buying a precision action, you can buy a Remington 700 action, send it off to your gunsmith, and he will untrash that thing and make it kind of work.
Or
I've done that too.
Yeah.
Or you can just go buy yourself something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Same kind of thing. So like the guys that I know who already had world-class pistols from Atlas or one of the other builders, they're like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not as good. But not everybody's going to spend $6,000 on a pistol. So if that's the best you can do, it's pretty good. It's a pretty high value for the money there. And I would say you also get somewhat of a vote on how it's configured. If you're in some of these intermediate tier 1911 style pistols, if you want a SIG P211, you don't get a vote in how that's configured. Like, it comes how it comes. Whereas here, you're kind of getting a semi-custom pistol. You kind of get to check the box like, yes, I want that. No, I don't want that. Hey, could you maybe make it this way? Set it up that way. Excuse me. So you get subtle input in how it's configured also, where a lot of the pistols are, they come how they come. A staccato comes the way it comes. That's just it. So it's kind of a way to paint by numbers off of a decent framework.
Yep, that's what I'd say.
All right. LQ, I don't want Riser to accuse me of hiding at Drink High Desert this year, and apparently Aaron is going to follow more normal rules. Gosh, let's hope so. Looking to step into modified.
Woo.
I have a normal M2, a quote-unquote normal M2, a Roth M2 with a pick rail, and an optics cut pistol I can get plates for, blah, blah, blah. With the release of the shotgun dot, he's referencing the Vortex Viper shotgun dot, and the Defenders, etc. What dots in the Vortex line, thank you, fit where? He got an XL off a prize table somewhere. He heard an ST might work better on a pistol. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so where do red dots fit in the modified world? I would say if you have nothing, the best way to integrate a red dot onto a shotgun is the Viper dot, because it was essentially designed that way. It's designed to integrate onto a shotgun receiver without any sort of riser, kind of what so before you kind of needed an intermediate interface. You needed a rail of some kind or a milled plate of some kind to mount a red dot to. And how we accomplished that was the complicated part. Usually you added some thickness there, so usually that kind of changed what you had to do in the stock fitment department to make all that work. So if you use the Viper dot on the receiver, there's less wonky things that you have to do on the stock potentially to make that fit. However, dots have been executed really well in other ways. The Roth Picatinny rail, integrated Picatinny rail on a Roth receiver being one. The vent rib modification that Briley does, that would be another. And then Briley also has essentially something that goes on top of the receiver, and you can mount any sort of red dot you want on top. So there are a few ways to do it. I think that the Vortex Viper shotgun dot is the best, not just because it's our product and I work there, but like it was purpose built for that application, where all the other dots were basically adapting pistol dots or carbine dots to a shotgun application. And I think the rings that you get in the multi-reticle version of the Viper shotgun dot are legal cheating. I think they're legal cheating.
So here's the deal for just the shotgun side. I agree with Maxwell. If I could put any dot on my shotgun, I would put the Viper dot on for the rings. I have the Roth receiver with the pick rail on it. It's a gun that, I shoot open now, so I don't really use it a whole lot anymore. But I wish I could put the Viper on my Dissident, and I can't because there's just not enough space. I would love those rings. For anybody who's curious, the ring size in the enclosed Defenders is not large enough to actually cover any of the patterns that a shotgun will make.
It's not large enough to be useful.
Yep, not even close. I have one of each down here. I'm going to do a video as soon as I get my replacement part. I'm super bummed. Oh, dude. Tell Ruben I'm sorry. Ruben, if you're listening, my guy, I am sorry about the rail thing. Ruben sent me a couple enclosed Defenders and a riser rail so I could put one of them on my AR. And somewhere between my kitchen table and my gear room, that thing either like aliens stole it or it fell into a black hole or some sort of time vortex. I have legit spent a week just walking around looking in my basement trying. And I know when he sends me another one, the day that it gets here, I'm just magically going to have two and I won't even know where the first one came from. But anyways, I lost the riser mount and it's killing me. So I like a Defender XL on a Dissident, but that's a very large shotgun overall. I think if I was putting it on a regular shotgun, I would consider the ST. If between the two receivers that you have, I would actually put the Viper on the regular Benelli receiver just because you get to run it a little bit lower, so you have a little bit more natural mount for the shotgun, and you get to run that ring aperture, which is just amazing.
Yeah, I use an XL quite a bit. Honestly, it's probably more for the battery compartment than anything because we use shitty batteries.
So the one time a year you have to change a battery?
I change them more than that.
Fair enough.
And it's also the product we're pushing forward in that segment. So if people see me with it, I want them to see that one. On an actual tube gun, I was actually fine with the CCW.
Oh, really? All the way down.
Yeah, because you don't need much on a shotgun, a properly fitting shotgun. Like anything about the window size, just get out of here with that. Just stop. So you don't really need much on a shotgun. And if I wasn't going to use a Viper and I wasn't promoting some other product, just left my own devices, I would probably use the CCW because initially I did use the CCW and I wanted for exactly nothing. It was perfect. It's low profile, it's slick, and that's how shotguns should run. Awesome. On the pistol side, I didn't want to just read through the whole thing here, but on the pistol side, I kind of think same thing. I use XLs, but I don't need an XL. I just kind of have them, so I use them. I'm perfectly fine with an ST sized window, and I think the XL is almost big enough. It's almost too big. Like, it was amusing when the enclosed emitter dot came out, and the first 3 comments that I saw on the video that I saw, when is the XL coming out? An enclosed XL is too big. It's too big for a pistol. I mean, they're probably going to come out with one, but like, we give the people what they want, but the people don't. I've seen what you people cheer for, all right? So, all right. But so it's so big, it's so much mass on the top that I don't like the way the gun recoils with an XL on there. Given a choice, like if I wasn't just using samples that I have access to and I actually had to spend some money, I would buy STs, honestly, across the board.
So I can pick, and I picked XLs for my competition guns and either STs or CCWs for my other guns, depending on the use case. The XL, I would say, very occasionally is slightly handier in like, you got to shoot the weird left-handed plate rack at Parma or something like that, where it's like you have just a little bit more window. So if you get like a weird one-handed mount, or you have some really hard lean and your dot's in the corner of that window, you just might see it in the XL and not in the CCW. When it comes to like regular shooting, no difference.
Oh, and the other reason I use the XL, drum roll please, it's because it's the only one that has the 8 MOA dot.
You run the 8?
I run the Ocho, baby.
Interesting. I run the 6 in the STs and the 5 in the XL.
Yeah, I prefer the Ocho, and I got a 2 MOA the other day for my PCSL carbine, and comparatively that dot looks like trash. Like a 2 MOA dot starbursts a lot.
It's so small.
Not ours specifically, just in concept. In concept, the smaller a dot is, the brighter the LED has to be for you to see it. Pound for pound, the brighter it is, the more it starbursts. So I like the bigger dots because they present cleaner, and I don't have to have them as bright to be aware of their location with relaxed visual effort, which is my goal.
Yep, 100%. All right. Next one here. I got one for you. This one's probably going to be pretty short. It's a long question with a short answer.
Oh, boy.
It says, could you steel man the argument for front sight focus moving from dots to iron sights?
No.
I tend to think target focus is obviously the right choice for all the reasons, but apparently some high-level dudes disagree. I've always checked. He uses the acronym FSF, which tells me that this man is over 60 years old. I've also chalked front side focus up to regurgitated military training nonsense over the decades. He also uses the phrase decades instead of years, which tells me he's over 60 years old. Also,
the military is never a good point of reference for
never a good point
doctrine.
of reference. Is it possible that some people use front sight focus with both eyes open? Whenever I try it, my target is double imaged and confusing, but I see people teaching it for some reason. Would love to hear your thoughts. Yes, I cannot steel man the front side focus argument for you because I don't believe in it in any way whatsoever at the end.
Yeah. The quote that I like to use, I don't know, there's this guy named Rob Latham. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And so
he's won a couple things.
When we quote high level shooters that preach front sight focus, it's like, okay, well, how did they stack up to Rob Latham in the heyday? But that doesn't always work. But the quote from Rob Latham back in the 80s, when he was winning, the world was, I mean, this is like Back to the Future. Like, maybe you kids aren't ready for this yet. He would say that he looks at the target through an aligned sight. That was target focus before target focus was a catchphrase. But that's what he was doing at the time. Essentially, he had his iron sight index to the point where it was a given that it was lined up, and he was really only referencing it to make sure it was lined up, and he was completely at the target, except for like really tight controlled shots. So it's not new. It's been done at a high level for a long time. It may even be the original. Now, why did we start teaching front sight focus? Because it was the least bad option. And we had to explain it to dispassionate people who don't care about shooting, namely military personnel and law enforcement personnel. Front sight focus has always been the thing. It's just really hard to teach on iron sights.
You mean target focus?
Yes. Oh, excuse me. Yes. Target focus is really hard to teach on iron sights. And so even then, kind of at the dawning of the era where people were quote unquote transitioning to red dots, we're kind of on the back end of that now. There's still some of them out there. But they were looking for, well, we have to, they have to learn iron sights first, and then we're going to teach them red dots, and then they still have to qualify on their iron sights. They're talking back and forth. And then there were actually departments for a time that were worried they didn't want to go to red dots because they were worried that people wouldn't know how to use their irons. My experience, again, remember, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool 1911 shooter, all right? I did not want pistol red dots to be the answer. I got into pistol red dots because it was literally my job to explain to people why they couldn't shoot on the phone. I was the guy that had, once red dots went through tech inspection and there was nothing wrong with them, I was the guy who called you back and had to explain that to you. So
Adam had to tell you you're dumb without telling you you're dumb because he's trying to be nice.
Your words, not mine. But in that time, so I learned red dot shooting sort of curmudgeonly, and once I learned it, I still had a desire to go back and forth. I still wanted to shoot iron-sighted guns. And when I applied what I learned in red dots to iron sights, my iron sight shooting got better. Okay? I made Grandmaster in single stack and limited after I made it in limited optics. All right, so I was already a high-level red dot shooter when I did it in iron sight divisions, and I jumped back and forth red dots to irons daily. But the vision technique is much easier to learn. The target focus technique is much easier to learn in red dots because that's how they work. So once you understand target focus, you can then translate it over into iron sights. And you're like, But I would say it's very hard to learn target focus on iron sights without a red dot phase. So I think the reason that target focus is going to come back into iron sights is now we kind of understand how target focus works and we can apply it to iron sights, where to me is very, very challenging on the instructor side or as a student to learn target focus in only an iron sight environment. Does that make any sense?
Well, and even on red dots, like people stare at the dot when they think they're not staring at the dot.
Oh yeah,
That's
they're
why
still trying to aim that
shooting
thing.
has become such a So, like even when people think they're target focused with iron sights, they're quite often not.
A sure sign of somebody who's not target focused is anyone who used the phrase, "I am 100% target focused all the time." Sure sign of that guy's full of shit.
You are for sure not. And I will tell you what, whether you're shooting iron sights or red dot, nobody is, because our brains are attracted to bright, shiny things. And if you put a bright, shiny thing in front of it, at some point your eyes are going to focus on that thing. The idea is to do that as infrequently as possible.
Right.
So,
It's a journey. It's a saga, and you will never it is the quest for nirvana. You will never get there. It's just refinement.
Yeah, I find myself mid-stage every once in a while being like, I'm staring at the dot. I should stop.
Ben Stager has the best analogy for this. He uses the Scottsdale Ladies reference, right? So attention and focus. The challenge here, the reason why no one is 100% target focused, all right? Picture yourself here. You're out to dinner with your wife. All right? You went to the Olive Garden. She's telling you a story. You're being funny. This is why she picked you. All right. Attention. Focus. Eye contact.
This is why she picked you.
All the reasons that she picked you, you got them all turned on right now. All right. Now, a Scottsdale lady, a 10, all the upgrades, comes into the back of the room.
All the upgrades.
You are aware that she's there, but don't lose focus. Attention and focus is at the target. That's going to be very challenging because in a red dot situation, that 10 is going to pole dance between you and your wife. All right? And the brighter you turn that thing up, the more she's going to move. All right? So it's an ongoing battle because you are hardwired. You are hardwired to look at that dot. But that's not what you want to look at. So it's you are fighting it the whole time. And with practice it gets easier, but the temptation is always there. So it's an ongoing thing. So anybody who's like, I am 100.
Best analogy ever.
It's the only thing I'll give Ben credit for. It's simply the best analogy ever. But yeah, like that's when it was like, I am 100% target focused. Get out of here. No, you're not. You could be 95, you could be 90, but that would be like a high level of proficiency.
If you're really good, maybe you're 98.
Yeah. I think a high B, a low A class shooter is maybe 65-70% target focused.
Yeah.
At best.
Best case scenario.
But they're working on it. They're working on them bad selves.
I think it's your turn.
All right. In PCSL, do you recommend magazine extensions? He's talking rifle magazines for both 30 and 40 round mags or just 40s. And he would also be talking about competition division because those are illegal in practical division.
Yep.
Ask me how I know. Right, Emery?
Did you get a bump?
I did locally. Okay, so do you recommend for both 30s and 40s or just 40s? Or should I have a good mix of 30, 35, 40, and 45 round magazines?
So here's the deal, folks. When I fly, I understand we're not talking about 3-gun, but when I fly to a 3-gun match, I bring 2 25s, a 30, 2 35s, and 2 45s. The reason I bring that kit is the 25s are handy for bipod shooting or general prone shooting where mag clearance is a thing, and I want to have a spare one of those just in case. My 30 basically lives on my belt as my oh shit mag. I shoot 35s and 45s for 99% of the stuff. I would say 35s and 45s are handy to have with extensions on them. Are they necessary? No. But a 45 loaded to the hilt is markedly heavier than a 35 loaded to the hilt. So if I don't think I need the ammo, I don't shoot the 45. However, I know a lot of super high level shooters that just shoot 45s all the time. And I know a few pretty high level shooters that shoot D60s all the time. So if you're just going to shoot a 45, just shoot a 45 and call it a day. I kind of pick the one depending on the stage.
Well, right. And last year at the championship, I think we maybe saw use cases for all of those in some of the stages, like where the prone spinner. I think that was probably a place where people were maybe using like a 35. They wanted a little bit more height, and they probably wanted a little bit more ammo on tap, but a 40 was too tall.
It is important to know if for PCSL, I hate the bipods aren't a thing in PCSL because I moved to open division just so I wouldn't have to mess with monopoding off a mag anymore, but the wings saved me. So if you're shooting PCSL, or you're shooting in a division that does not allow a bipod, hey, Max, have you noticed that both modified and open division, the two most popular divisions in 3-gun, both allow bipods because bipods are awesome?
Don't listen to him, Max. Don't listen to him. Live!
No, listen to me.
You do what you want.
We had sticks before we had guns. Let us put the guns on the sticks. Anyways, it is important to know the correct height magazine for your body type. Craig Outson shoots prone from a 45. Craig is like 2 of me. I shoot prone from a 35, and it's kind of high.
He's literally a panda.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Like, I have them all around, and I've gone through phases of everything. I don't have 35s. If I'm not comfortable using a 30, like a 30 is going to crush it, and I have a little bit left over, I'm just going to use a 40 or a 45. So it's more often like I'm trying to have 5 to 10 more rounds than I think I'm going to need in a magazine. And that's what I pick. So normally I would be running 45s, and then unless there's some reason not to in a division where it's allowed. Last year I took that a step further and I just shot a 60 the whole time. But a 60 as agile and fast paced as PCSL shooting is, that's just too much bulk on the gun. It was
it's a lot.
It was too much bulk, and it upset the balance a little bit too much for me. That I would not go that route again. Like, my takeaway from last year was the rifle's going on a diet. But I also shoot practical, I choose to shoot practical in PCSL, and in practical division you can only use 30s. So your choice is kind of made for you. But if you have ability to, it's kind of good to have a mix of those around, either to get around a reload or so that you have the right height if they kind of force you into some place. The reason to have the shorter ones is if they force you into some kind of low port or unconventional position where you want a certain amount of height, but you can't get away with, a 30 might not be enough and a 45 might be too tall. Some guys even carry around 20s. I haven't used a 20 in a long time, but some guys carry cinch 20s for low ports, just for stability in really, really low awkward positions. But that's like niche stuff.
I pack 25s, and I mostly use those for prone rifle positions.
Right. And then that's also a thing where, like, are you driving to the match or are you flying? Because if you're flying, you're starting to vote some of that stuff off the island. If you're driving, hey man, throw it all in there. It's just fuel. You don't have to use it just because you brought it. But if you didn't bring it, you don't have an option to use it.
Oh, when I'm driving to a big 3-gun match, I pretty much just like empty the gun room into the van.
Yeah, right?
Yep. All right. Next one. Coolest targets for each platform. That is the whole question. I dig it.
Say it one more time. I was starting to look at the next question here.
The coolest targets for each platform. Pistol, rifle, shotgun.
The coolest, like the most fun to shoot?
That's how I took it. I think the most fun to shoot.
Most fun to shoot with a pistol is those big 10x10 squares.
Yeah, speed plates.
Yeah, the speed plates. Those are the most fun with the pistol.
Okay.
Shotgun clays with a shotgun. Clays or no, actually, back up. Most fun thing to shoot with shotguns is Schedule 40 water pipe. All you South Carolina people.
I disagree, but that's cool.
Water pipe. Yeah, well, you can do lots of fun stuff with clays, with shotguns. So I like clays with frangible targets with shotguns. You can get spicy with it. You can. There's risk reward. You can try and brush them with a couple golden BBs and call it good, or sometimes you got to respect them. With a rifle, the most fun target to shoot with a rifle. Man, it's probably something that Targets USA makes.
Probably.
I think the most fun thing to shoot with a rifle is the Holy Monkey. How about that?
Oh, that's a good answer.
The Holy Monkey it's a swinger, but it also has a pendulum concept to it. So it has a cycle of about 4 presentations that repeat on a loop until gravity settles it out, but it takes a long time for it to settle out.
And they're way more erratic than a normal swinger. You don't get it. You don't get the yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, go fix it. Go on.
The most fun target to shoot with a shotgun is the Death Star.
The
Death Star, son.
Yeah, you win. Have you ever reset a Death Star?
Many times. That's why you don't see them very much anymore.
Yeah, the first time I reset a Death Star, I was like, somebody's gonna die at this match from resetting this target. Like,
not even that. That's a lot of iron, son. That thing is heavy,
bro. Yeah, for the newer to the sport people, the Death Star was a Texas Star on a pendulum. Not a plate up. The whole Texas Star was on a pendulum.
And you had to activate
shot an
it.
activator that released that entire monstrosity. So it was really erratic. Somebody figured out the best way to shoot one. There was like an order to the plates to keep, because as soon as you shot a plate off the thing, depending on where it was in that travel, it did crazy shit.
Yeah, if the plates are numbered 1 through 5 clockwise, the way to shoot it was, if they didn't, a lot of times once people figured this out, they started forcing you to shoot a first plate. But the way to shoot it, left to your own devices, would be to shoot plate number 2 and plate number 5 first, so that plate number 1 is straight up and then you have 2 dingleberries on the bottom. And then it's just going to kind of float there and not spin, and it's just going to be yo-yoing back and forth, penduluming back and forth for you to take it out. If you didn't shoot it in that order, you ran the risk of there being enough mass for that thing to start gyrating and spinning, and then the Death Star was fully operational, and you were boned.
Yes. And when it did, like, what you would see that happen, and the whole peanut gallery just be like, oh.
Yeah, there was a collective groan, like, oh, no.
Yeah. When it went bad, it went real bad.
Or for some reason, like the lower half of the pack shooters, for some reason, they just wanted to shoot one on the bottom first. Got that thing spinning, like,
just worst case scenario.
Bless your little heart, man. That was rough to watch.
Good answer. Well, you win the shotgun response for sure. I'm gonna say pistol. The best target is an activated flying clay. Every time there's a popper with a flying clay out of a toaster for a pistol,
game changer.
That is all that everybody in the match talks about. It's always fun. You always feel like a G when you shoot it. You always feel like a punter when you don't.
It will make you feel like $1 million if you get that thing. That's for sure,
dude. Doesn't matter how the rest of your stage went. If you hit the flying clay with the pistol, you're like, yeah. And they're like, what about all those mics? Don't care. Like,
I got the clay.
Yeah. The best shotgun target, or the second best shotgun target since the Death Star is taken, is a bunch of flying clays with a shotgun. Like 3-4 poppers in a row where you can just yeet everything into the air and just go ham on that. And I would say the best rifle target is a 400-yard C-zone. Just far enough to make you think, just big enough to make you go fast.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. All right, your question.
I do enjoy rifle spinners as well, but they can go either way.
That was my backup.
Yeah, and you're kind of limited on ranges that you can shoot those at, because there are definitely bullets leaving the bay.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Spinners are basically just catapults for bullets.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. You only get to shoot rifle spinners if there's BLM land behind your range.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Listener is currently building a rifle for PCSL.
I like where he head's at already.
His question is, should I just buy a red dot? Currently, I don't know why you're thinking of those horrible red dots, so I'm not even going to dignify them with airtime. and possibly a magnifier. Or
you listed off a bunch of non-vortex red dots to the 2 vortex shooters who run this podcast.
Yeah, right?
Come on, buddy.
Why? Come on, man. The content is free currently. See, comments like that is going to get you a paywall, and we're going to be on Patreon. So red dot, or possibly a magnifier, or do I get an LPVO with an offset dot? My local club is all bay stages with a maximum bay of 75 yards, so I know I don't need an LPVO. However, a couple years I want to start traveling to larger matches. Not sure if an LPVO is more recommended for those 200-yard stages. I don't know if I start with a red dot. I don't know if I start with the red dot and then move to an LPVO, how much I would be behind in training when it's time to go to the bigger matches.
Well, you want to start?
Why don't you go ahead?
All right. By rule, the farthest away a target can be in PCSL is 200 yards. The smallest it can be is 8 inches. So, wait, 16
8 inches or MOA? Yeah.
8 MOA, 16
16
inches.
inches, yeah.
A 16-inch target with a red dot with a 3x magnifier is a very, very shootable target. AJ Anthony got second place at PCSL 2-Gun Nationals last year running a red dot and a magnifier. Kyle Litzy got first place running a 6 power or a 1-6 Razor Gen 2. Those are both just fine. If I had a dedicated PCSL gun, I honestly would probably have one with a red dot and a magnifier just because the weight of the gun is so much less and it is 95% base stage, super fast shooty stuff with a few long range targets sprinkled in. I will be shooting either a 1-6 or a 1-10 and probably using 3 or maybe 4 power of one of those and an offset red dot just because I don't have a magnifier and a dedicated upper for PCSL stuff. If all you're shooting is PCSL, I think a red dot and a magnifier is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I'm right there with you also. I would even say you don't need a magnifier. Like, as soon as you start to enter a magnifier into the equation, I would say get an LPVO because you're spending LPVO money.
How much is a good magnifier?
Like $300-400 or more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're kind of getting into that territory then. Yeah.
Yeah, so my dedicated PCSL gun, and the other thing, like, I teach LPVO professionally a lot. Most people overuse magnification. So most of the time, they're zoomed up way more than they have to be to the point that it's a hindrance. So
field of view is a thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think there's currently, like PCSL up to date that we've seen so far. I don't think that you need an LPVO because, I just haven't seen it. But also that's been a function of stage design. Now, someone out there could get tricky, and they could force stuff that would make me want it. So, even it's not necessarily a distance correlation. I mean, if they start putting skinny Sammies at 75 yards, that's a very doable target with a red dot, but you kind of have to be a good red dot shooter.
Well, and here's the thing. There were skinny Sammies at 75 yards at USPSA Multi-Gun Nationals.
Yeah.
And I just shot those with the red dot.
Yeah. And those shots like that, they also depend a lot on lighting conditions. So if you roll up to that stage and that skinny Sammy is white in the middle of the day, easy to see, no problem. If you're towards the end of the day and it's kind of in a shadow, you might need a little bit more. So if we were saying a dedicated PCSL setup, I would say I would go with red dot. As soon as you start trying to work in a magnifier into the equation, I would go to an LPVO, or at the very minimum that magnifier would be on a QD and it would not be on the gun very much. So yeah, I would say the way the sport currently exists, I don't think there's a lot of advantage to an LPVO. There's not a lot of disadvantage to an LPVO other than the bulk. So if you want to be competitive in PCSL, that's an agility game and a speed game. And so in an effort to shave weight off the gun, I would forego the LPVO, being the LPVO guy. But as soon as we move out into 3-gun, like I would not show up to Texas 3-Gun Championship with a PCSL gun. All right. I wouldn't show up to Multi-Gun Nationals with a PCSL gun, honestly. PCSL is kind of, I really like the direction it's going. It's very challenging, but it's not challenging in the way that you need a scope. It's challenging in other ways, in other parts of rifle craft. So, second part of his question, he said, this rifle is an all-out build, no money spared. So if you say LPVO, should I make the jump to the Razor Gen 2? Or should I stick with a PST? So he's asking, do I go into the top tier line of product or do I stay at the intermediate tier of product? You answered your own question in the first part of the sentence there. If this is a no expense spared thing and you this is something you're going to do a lot of, and you're going to start traveling to matches and stuff like that, the top tier stuff is what you're going to want to buy.
Yeah, you're going to end up there anyway. So I would go Razor for sure. I mean, if you're like, hey, I'm trying to save some money, yes, the PST Gen 2 is excellent value for the money. There will be moments running the Razor where you do notice where that extra money went, and it can definitely be the difference between, a podium spot and way down the line, depending on like you're lighting on the long range stage or something. But I would say if you're primarily shooting PSCSL, I would go with the 1-6 over a 1-10. Personally, I like it more as a primary optic for shooting inside of 50 yards. I have a 1-10 with an offset red dot on my 3-gun rifle. Have been shooting that all season, and I actually shoot the offset red dot for everything inside of 50, just because I like the way that it presents more than the red dot in the 1-10. If I'm shooting a 1-6, I will shoot the scope on everything unless I need magnification, in which case I'll leave it on whatever power, then I'll shoot the offset red dot. So that's what I would do if you're going in that direction. Gen 2 red dot or Gen 2 1-6.
And I'm the opposite. I prefer the first focal plane razors. Ours just happens to be a 1-10. I like, again, kind of back to that front sight focus equation. Second focal plane reticles, they have really big, bold lines in them. So it detracts from my ability to target focus. So I prefer the presentation of the kind of the floating reticles and the first focal plane scopes. So given a choice, I use the Razor Gen 3 1-10, except when I'm using the AMG 1-10 that is out there but not out there, but kind of out there but not out there. Just to flex on people. No, it's actually so it's so people can see it and decide if they want to spend the extra $1,000 on it. Should be commercially launched potentially maybe sometime next year. And then offset dots. Offset dots, I prefer 12 o'clock in every way to 45. 45 is definitely more prevalent between the two. It's a faster transition for me. The big thing I'll say on 45 dots or offset dots is, to me, they're a secondary aiming system. I think Riser's different on this, but they're a secondary aiming system for specialty things. If I have the scope zoomed up or if I'm in some kind of tight spot. It's not the adage is out there like, oh, I use the red dot for everything 25 and in. That's not me. I'm always faster and more precise on the primary optic. And to me, the red dots are secondary. But in PCSL, you can have one. So I absolutely have one.
Yeah. So for me, I run an ST as my 45-degree mount offset red dot at the same height as my scope. I think that's a really important consideration. You want to make sure that your scope mount and your red dot mount are the same height. Otherwise, you sort of lose the advantage of being able to roll the rifle and not changing your cheek weld in order to go to your 45 dot. The XL is for sure way too big for a offset red dot.
Oh, yeah.
The CCW is
so
actually
big.
like a super reasonable choice there. The reason I do an ST is because I actually run my 45 offset dot as my primary dot. And I think part of this is like the way that my eyes work, because I have pretty bad far sight vision, and I wear corrective lenses, and the way that not the reticle or the dot in the primary optic, but sort of the background around it translates through a scope when it's on one power now looks different to me than when I had younger eyes that worked. So I think this might just be like a preference thing based off of how my eyes work, but I like the 45-degree dot. However, I did not like the 45-degree dot until I turned to a very, very aggressive muzzle brake. So the brake that I'm running the JP Signature Series brake right now, and I actually have the Mark V brake in a box that is going on a rifle that is getting built currently. So once I have that back, I'm going to take that to the range and play around with it, and that's what I'm going to have at PCSL 2 Gun Nationals. But the key thing is when you turn a rifle sideways and it sort of changes the engagement in your shoulder and the resistance is on the back of that gun, and the direction of all the gas is leaving the gun. Sideways guns with sideways brakes will oftentimes recoil in weird directions. So when I was running a regular 3-port brake on a JP, they're super aggressive brakes. And when I rolled my rifle to the side, my rifle would actually recoil slightly down and right. So if I ran a hammer pair into something, I would shoot low right Charlies all the time. And if you watch like older footage of Josh Fralick, he had the big old tank brake recoil eliminator on his rifle. It was actually mounted crooked. Yes. So it was flat when he was shooting his red dot, and then the brake was crooked when he was in the prone position shooting his primary optic. So that is a thing to consider when you start rolling your rifle to the side. Go out there and shoot it and see what your dot does, because it might not be the solution depending on your rifle and your brake setup and everything else that goes into that.
A fun story, since you brought it up, and Josh has a good sense of humor about it.
Is this the water barrel story?
Yeah, one year at
this is the reason that he changed.
One year at Trigun, the sadists of the Minnesota 3-gun group, they essentially set a big water trough like for horses, and they were going to have you do some shooting, and you had to basically touch this barrel that was like just a couple inches off the water line so that it would splash you in theory while you were shooting. And of course, I
love everything about this.
Of course, his muzzle brake was going to shoot straight down into the water, so he was going to have an absurd amount of splashing going on. So, big brain moment. He loosened that jam nut and straightened out his compensator. And
is that what happened?
Yeah, in the heat of the right before he went, he loosened it up
from the good idea,
clocked it, tightened it down, and he learned that might influence point of aim, point of impact on his zero. So that was kind of hard to watch, and he doesn't do that anymore.
No.
But yeah.
No, now all of his brakes. Well, when he was for the season or two after that incident, leading up until the Signature Series and the Mark V brakes, he ran his brake flat to the horizon.
Yep. Yep. I think there's probably actually some pictures floating around out there about if your Google foo is on point.
Yep.
Yeah, and like just to finish that one, like I think we've said before, my PCSL rifle for this year, it's a 12.5-inch ADM with 2 Defender XLs, one at 12, one at 45, and the primary is a 2 MOA, just for whatever those precise shots might have to be, and then a 5.0 MOA on the offset. But at the same time, you can reconfigure in PCSL, so I'm going to have an LPVO set up in the car ready to go also. So if it really comes down to it.
Solid. All right, is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. Zoo City Armory does not allow any inside the waistband holsters. As of a couple years ago when I first started shooting Memorial, I questioned them about that, and they said it was not safe and was dangerous to have an inside the waistband holster. What do you guys think about it? I'll start. Belt. Guns
are dangerous, bro.
Yep.
Guns are dangerous.
I look down at my gun when it is in my outside the waistband competition holster, and if it went off in my starting shooting position, it would go into my upper leg, directly through my knee, and all the way out my lower leg before exiting near the bottom of my foot. Shooting yourself is super bad no matter where you shoot yourself. I'm going to make every effort to not do that, period.
I mean, most of mine, if they went off, I don't think I would actually shoot my competition rigs. I don't think would actually shoot me if they went off. I think, and I did a video on this on my YouTube, but I don't think there's anywhere to inside the waistband a gun and not point it at yourself. All right, so the reason we keep guns around is because they're dangerous. Otherwise, they wouldn't be useful for anything. I will say, and I'm on board with the shooting from concealment. Obviously, I may have made the most money at it to date so far, because I don't think any of the good shooters have won it more than one time. So
I love that you say the good shooters if you're not one of the good shooters. So my question is, have you actually deposited any of that money, or is it just sitting in your vault like a
every Tuesday, baby?
Heist?
Every Tuesday, $5 at a time. That's how I pay for my local matches. Although this stack, I actually told myself this stack is for Greece.
So the question is, do you roll to your local match with the entire wad still wrapped in plastic and then slit down the edge and pull out $5?
I do it in my truck, but yeah.
You should do that at the table every time just to flex.
They're kind of over it. They kind of they don't think it's funny anymore.
Come on, that's never not funny.
I did see Naderade. He got himself a single stack rig, so apparently he thinks he can beat me in stack.
Ooh.
We'll see. But in a multi-gun sense, I understand why Hunter does it, because he's on board with PCSL and he wants to support Max's event and he wants to sponsor Max's event. But even he would tell you that multi-gun competition from Belt is kind of absurd. But so is most things that Hunter does. All right, so he's kind of over the top from the moment he wakes up in the morning. He's not acting on YouTube. All right, that is him. He's not playing a character.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing: you have the front part of your belt in multigun is like waterfront real estate.
Oh yeah,
that is super super valuable real estate where mags and caddies need to go.
Yeah, like
so
South
if you
Beach
put a gun
waterfront.
there, yeah, for sure. Like we're talking $1 million houses with like yachts out front. So you don't want to put it, because the right side of your belt is basically worthless outside of putting your pistol there.
Yes.
So spoken as somebody with a very small waist trying to get an open division 3-gun rig on there at the same time, I would not run. I mean, you could run inside at 3:00, but why would you? There's certainly no advantage to it. Like,
it's not comfortable.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. All it's going to do is like make your day kind of suck. I wasn't going
to do it last year. And so I shot practical straight up, and then I was on Hunter's squad in the main match, and he basically bullied me into doing it. He's like, dude,
I was going to say, got a little pressure.
Yeah. He's like, dude, go put your appendix rig on right now. He's like, not very many people are doing it, and a big part of the reason I do it, even though I kind of do it as an exhibition in some of the divisions that I shoot, namely single stack, is because I'm helping my friend promote his brand. All right. So if I do it, I win the cash and people think that they can beat me, so they jump in there. I'm all for it. I gotcha. Like I already won. And so last year he's like, dude, just throw your appendix rig on and put your regular belt. Cause I was on the fence. I'm like, I'm not going to conceal all my rifle mags and everything. And he's like, dude, all you got to do is conceal your pistol. Just throw your appendix rig on, wear your regular belt. I'm like, oh, if that's all I got to do, then I just threw it on. Now he's changed the rules. All right. So the rules are maturing. All right. So this year you have to.
Was this J. Lise Williams' fault?
Probably. Yeah. I don't think it was her fault. I think it was the ideas that she may be inspired around her from dudes.
I see.
It was kind of the if-then statements from when people saw what Jay Lise did. Or not Jay Lise,
I think
Justine,
you should have to conceal your rifle under a trench coat when you shoot belt and 2-gun.
Right, and see, then I'm out. I'm like, but this year, what he said this year was essentially the pistol and the pistol mags have to be concealed. The rifle mags do not. And so I'm like, okay, that's quasi-reasonable. I don't have to buy special pants to get all this stuff inside the waistband.
Plus up like 5 sizes.
I don't have to plus up. Like, it's actually a reasonable amount of equipment. And the equipment has matured to the point that some of this stuff is okay. So it's not like I'm not trying to wear inside the waistband underneath an inner outer belt, because that, I'm just telling you folks, that sucks. It's not comfortable at all. The only reason I did it in single stack was because you have to carry like 5 magazines to shoot an area or a national match. So I ratchet belted my normal rig over the top, but it's not fun or it's only fun in the absurd sense. It's not like, oh man, yeah, where's this been all my life? Where shooting from appendix in the divisions where it's more sane. I mean, shooting in practical or competition division or limited optics, open, things like that, where like you really only have to carry 1 or 2 mags. It's actually pretty legit. I actually enjoy it.
Well, and companies now are coming out with actual like appendix carry race rigs.
Bro, 2 of them are sitting on my desk at work right now. I just haven't gone to go get them yet. I just got home.
Yeah. Two mag pouches and a magnet.
Yeah. Yeah. So like things like the bounty holster are coming out now from Carry Concealment. Shout out Weston. But and so like, but also like that's our place in the world as competition. This is where things evolve. If you're waiting for things to evolve in the tactical world, like good luck. All right.
Stand by.
It's like, okay, you know, it went from appendix has been around for a while, but like contemporary appendix rigs, like the materials we make them out of and how they sit there is kind of new. And then they're like, okay, well, we need to position this magazine so we could kind of grab it pretty fast, which is kind of, I would credit the tier 1 APX with really like putting that mag in a spot where you could grab it quick. And then that inspired, oh, well, if we can do that, well, I could have 2 mags. Oh, and then, you know, the thing with the bounties, you have bullets out. And it's like, well, if it was comfortable to wear 2 mags, bullets out, and I had a reason to do that, why would I not? You know, so I could see a world where the bounty probably isn't a practical holster for EDC, but I don't think it's that far off. And I think you'll see things like that trickle into the armed professional world. So I think it's kind of a crucible of evolution, which is why I think it's cool. I'm doing it at PCSL also just because I want to support my friend, and he's doing cool things in the sport, throwing cash at things where I think the cash model, the cash purse model, is something that needs to be more of a thing in our sport, and he's the one who's actually willing to throw some money at it. So,
what about
so
the
I'm
car
down.
purse model?
What's that?
What about the car purse model?
I'm there too. I mean, if you think
specifically the Corvette purse,
if you think that white camo truck isn't going to be a belt prize when it hits whatever mileage he decides he wants to get rid of it at, you're crazy. Yeah. You know, and same thing with that Raptor. He's just gonna.
Dude, that white camo truck's pretty legit. I wonder if the topper's gonna go with it because that's a nice topper.
He hasn't told me, but I just like I looked at that Corvette and I kind of think I heard what he paid for it, and then I'm like I looked at his truck and I was like, well. Are you gonna go and trade that in at the dealer?
Nah, that's a late model Tacoma, dude. They're still worth ridiculous amounts.
It's not Tacoma. It's a Sierra.
Wait, his camo truck is a Sierra? I thought it was a Tacoma.
No, it's a Sierra.
Oh yeah. Hunter, give that away at PCSL, dude.
Yeah. I don't think you're gonna want it when he's done with it, but
yeah, for sure not. For sure not.
Because his other page is 2-Track Nation, so it's like that is not those are not highway miles.
No, they're definitely not. Oh well. All right, your turn, homie.
All right, the last one I got. Tips for
good timing. We both have our last. Look at that.
Tips for shooting rifles offhand better. All right. Well, first, this is a failure of the public school system because that is not a question. That is a statement. But I think what you're asking is how do I shoot rifles offhand better? This is what's wrong with America. This and electing communists. So tips for shooting offhand rifle better.
Okay, so here's the deal. What you want out of your offhand shooting rifle shooting platform. Jesus, I'm getting we've said the magic words enough times here. I'm kind of drunk.
Drunk
I'm
on pod.
actually going to do a video on this pretty soon because I got some questions about this on my YouTube channel. What you are trying to get is a shooting stance and structure behind the rifle, very similar to the pistol, where when you fire a shot, the dot in the middle of your reticle or the dot that's on your rifle returns to the middle of the target without you having to influence the rifle and bring it back there. That is the most important thing. So depending on your body size, the gun you are shooting, the caliber you're shooting, the stance that you can get given the position you're in, all of those things. The answer on how to get there is actually going to change very slightly. On my full send competition JP rifle, I can basically just hold the rifle still, press the trigger twice, and get 2 alphas inside 40 yards. On my truck gun, which is 11.5 with a suppressor on it, and a full mass carrier and significantly heavier buffer, I have to lean into that thing a little bit more. It's not a crazy amount, but it does require a different shooting structure behind that thing. So, I mean, really, it is an answer of going out to the range, and you can do this one shot at a time, where you literally just stand with your rifle, fire a shot, see what the dot does, and do something to correct. So if your dot moves upwards, you need to put more force into the rifle. That can be done by lowering your center of gravity by bending your knees and moving your upper body forwards, not by bending at the waist, but by putting more weight over your leading foot as opposed to having your weight evenly centered off of both feet. If your dot moves to the right or your firing hand side, for you left-handed shooters out there, including Maxwell, then you need to put more shoulder pressure into the rifle, aka square your shoulders more to what you're shooting. If you have a very bladed stance, your rifle will tend to recoil to the right and open up that bladed stance. So what I do with every new rifle I have, what I do with students is I'll go out, I'll put up a target at, I don't know, like 8-inch plate at 40 yards. That works great. Fire a shot, see where the dot goes relative to the plate, change something, see if that makes it better or worse, and then continue changing things until that dot does not leave that plate when the gun goes off. Also, anybody who says that you should float the buttstock in front of your shoulder and there should not be contact does not know what they're talking about, and you should not listen to that person.
What?
That's a thing.
People say that?
People say that.
Well, those guys have red shirts for sure.
I have seen people who definitely have like day rates, which include a comma for individuals in group classes, say that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What are we doing, man? Let's quit our jobs. We got.
I don't know. Yeah,
the world needs
we're
us.
blowing it. They do. But the problem is we're not willing to whore ourselves out enough or spout things that we know to be incorrect to the extent that we're willing to develop the latest and greatest, because there's kind of no tricks. Sorry.
Yeah, that integrity thing got in the way.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
So that, and I would say the biggest thing I think for offhand shooting, all pistol shooting is offhand, correct?
Correct.
All pistol shooting is freehand unsupported. Thinking that it's any different in a rifle is the first error. So really, shot calling offhand rifle shooting is just shot calling on a different platform. I used to think that I would get to a place in the shooting sports where I would just have this magical ability that reticle would just lock onto the target and just be rock steady on there.
Ha! That's adorable.
Right? I assure you, as long as you have a pulse, that thing's going to be moving. Where the master class comes in is embracing how it's going to be moving and then being dialed into your rifle to the point where you can stage, prep, anticipate, and then index the shot when the sight has an acceptable point value, not before and not after. So really, offhand rifle shooting is just shot calling like a pistol. It's just on a different platform, and it looks a little bit different. But like we've talked about in the past, when I go out to my local club and I offhand shoot at 200 yards, it's not magic. It's just embracing how much that thing's going to be wobbling, and as it's on its way towards the center, I index the shot at the right time. And it's just going to be reps and visual and live fire confirmation on, did I get that correct? You know, how much trigger prepped, you know, do I need to be? You know, I got that thing 3/4 pulled and it's not even on the target yet, because when it breaks the edge of the target, I'm going to start trying to send the shot. So it's really just it's really vision and shot calling based on a different scale. And if you look at it any differently, I think that's probably like the first area. It's just a matter of embracing how the sight's going to be moving and having the shot ready when it has an acceptable point value.
Yep, 100%. I'm going to give a very short version of my lock time spiel that I give to people in offhand rifle class. Maxwell, you're a gun person. You know what lock time is, correct?
I do.
So, for those of you who do not, lock time is basically the time from a trigger press to the gun going off. From flintlock days, this was like multiple seconds. So imagine a gun where you pull the trigger and 3 seconds later the gun goes off. That's what a flintlock rifle is, because you have to like the striker, whatever it's called, creates a spark, which then burns a little tiny pan full of powder, which then ignites the main charge, which then makes the gun go off. That's why when you watch the Patriot, everybody's standing on the line, will pull the trigger, then look away, and 2 Mississippis later, the gun goes off. That's actually accurate. That's actually how they worked. So the reason that bolt action rifles are more accurate than semi-automatic rifles.
A reason.
I know a bunch of people just screamed at their computer that they're not. Well, they kind of are and they're kind of not. In a completely prone, solid position, they are not more accurate. But the reason that semi-automatic rifles do not win positional rifle style competitions like PRS or NRL is because you are in unstable positions where your reticle is floating, and the amount of lock time that rifle has is longer than a bolt action rifle. So in a bolt action rifle, the lock time of the rifle, you pull the trigger, the sear gets out of the way of the firing pin goes forward, and it ignites the primer. In a semi-automatic rifle, which is what we're talking about, you pull the trigger, the sear separates from a hammer falls forward, a hammer then strikes the firing pin then goes forward and ignites the primer. So mechanically, the gun takes longer to go off, measured in like thousandths of a second. There is also mental lock time. That is the time that your brain takes to process that dot just got onto the target, therefore I should start pushing the trigger. So what Maxwell is talking about when he says, I have prepped my trigger, and when it comes onto the target, not in the middle of the target, but when the dot comes onto the target, I'm going to finish that trigger press. As the dot is swinging through the target, it is using up portions of that target. So if you get to the middle of the target and your brain says to your body, press that trigger, and then it does, and then the sear separates from the hammer, which falls and hits the firing pin and ignites the primer, which burns powder and sends the bullet out the barrel. All of that stuff takes a certain amount of time to happen. And if you start that process when your reticle is in the middle of the target on its way out, that amount of time can be the same amount of time it takes for that reticle to get completely off the target. But if you start that process when your reticle comes onto the target, that amount of time can be the same amount of time that reticle takes to get to the middle of the target. That is why lock time is important. That is why you start breaking that shot when you come onto the target, not when you're in the middle of the target.
Right. That's actually a very nice way of putting that. And like when I see this a lot, I see this a lot in law enforcement. They're working with mil-spec style triggers. So if most of us have experienced a mil-spec style AR trigger at some point in our lives. When I'm shooting offhand at something and we're anticipating trying to make some kind of precise offhand shot, we're in tune with the trigger enough that we have that first stage pulled out of it. I've maybe even let the hammer slip a little bit, and that like little creep that they all have. I'm just behind that creep right before the break, before my sight gets to the A zone, right? So I have the trigger 75% pulled before I get there, but you have all that done ahead of time. Whereas a lot of people wait until they're all the way there, stopped and stable, and then they start applying pressure. That's why your mental lock time is different than our mental lock time, because we pre-staged all that. It is right on the cusp of releasing the shot before we get there, where a lot of people, a lot of the hunting crowd, they waited. I watched some hunting stuff on YouTube the other day, and they don't even like load the chamber until they see the animal, right? So like most people, they're way behind the reaction curve to some of us. And then if you have a match trigger, even more. I can be even more refinedly prepped before I get there. If you have something like an AR Gold or a Timney or something, that we're living with that first stage pulled out of it already before waiting for the right moment just to give it the last 10% to send the shot. But the practice and the technique comes into putting all that processing together. So seeing the vision required to track the sight and anticipate it. How does it behave? And when does it come into an acceptable target zone? And then what do I have to have ready when it comes around so that I can initiate a shot before it leaves? Essentially.
100%.
That's offhand shooting.
All right. Last question. What good timing.
We're
Our
good at
do's
this,
and don'ts. We are nailing this here.
This is episode 49. It only took us 50.
Oh, no, you know what?
Is this episode 50?
Oh my God. Yeah. Hang on.
We're
gonna find out really quick.
We were supposed to do something special for 50. Now I feel like we blew it.
Were we?
I don't know.
This is episode 50.
This is episode 50.
Yeah. Woo,
Happy 50
woo.
everybody. We'll do something cool next week.
or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
I mean, I think this is pretty cool. We're answering a bunch of people's questions.
Heck
this is
yeah.
Perfectly cool. Yeah, celebration episode. Look at that. Technically, it's 51 because you had a tweener.
Oh, that's right.
For the World Shoot update, but because I got the email from our publishing thing, like, congratulations on 50 episodes. I'm like, we didn't do 50. Oh wait, we did.
I think Dave Hartman used to say if you do more than 10 episodes, you're in the 1 percentile of podcasts because most of them don't survive 10.
We are crushing it.
Last
question. RO do's and don'ts for multi-gun. Delayed hit calls in the rifle, calling multiple hits on pistol steel, etc.
Holding I kind of wanted to do a whole show on that one.
Reset to clear guns. This might.
That's a whole show.
Here's the deal. We're an hour 41 into this podcast, according to our ticker. That's a whole show. We're going to leave it.
Yeah.
You're right. This is, and I really have to go to the bathroom. So we're just going to leave this one alone.
So your special episode 50.
Episode 51 is
a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Cliffhanger. Sorry, guys.
Do they make it? Tune in next season to find out.
Yep.
But yeah, the RO thing, that's a whole episode to do that properly. And believe it or not, we do intend to do that episode at some point.
That's at least 45 minutes just on that question.
Oh, God. Yes.
Yep. All right. Yep. Good move. Let's leave that one alone.
All right. Well,
50.
50.
We did it.
50. We did it. Keep prepping. We still got on the horizon. We have Redemption Run at the PCSL Nationals.
Woo.
Just cresting over the hill. We will assemble in St. George, what, in 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I think it's 3.
3 weeks to get dialed in. I got to go get that appendix rig, figure out how that thing works. I got to zero my rifle. Got to work on my offhand shooting with that rifle.
Yeah. Maxwell and I are bunking together, so there will be massive potting.
Pottery. That's
pottery.
That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt
right
there.
I didn't like it how it came out. That's why I corrected right away. But now that I think about it for just a split second, not bad. Pottery's pretty good.
Yeah, but we are staring down PCSL. We both really want to do well there, or certainly better than we did last year.
Certainly better than last year. Last year was rough.
I'm shooting belt, so what, Riser's going to give me, 3%?
You're shooting belt and production?
Yeah. I don't know. Let's leave it to the listeners. How much should the handicap be?
Let us know. What's the spread here?
And yeah. Until next time, don't stop yourself. Keep your overlays handy.
I know I'll let you down.
This has been On the Perf, and we'll get at you all next week.
See you guys.